Welcome to the One Berry Lane Podcast, episode 11. I'm Principal Matt Jones here at LHS, and we have in-house our wonderful part of our eSports team at Logansport High School. So let's just go around the room and introduce everyone. Tell the students what your name is, and then also what grade level.
My name is Connor. I'm part of the Smash team, and yeah, I've been doing it last year and this year.
Dragon. I play on the Valorant team as a sophomore. I did it freshman year too.
Okay.
Mr. Hole, and I'm a coach for a Valorant team, and also I've been coach for chess and Overwatch.
I'm Mr. McCord. I coach Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Fortnite.
I'm Xander Wilson, and I play for the Rocket League team. I am a junior.
And I am Mr. Packard. I teach TV radio down at the Career Center, and I am the coach of the Rocket League team, and I briefly was the coach of Hearthstone and Halo in the past.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Let's go back a few years when we started thinking about esports at Logansport High School. I have to reflect on I really wasn't that familiar. I kept hearing this term 3 or 4 years ago on esports, and what came to mind for me was it's some type of Madden football or NBA 2K. That's what the league was. Well, it was more than just that, right? It's definitely different games. And then I was hearing of Trine University. They did esports and they were offering scholarships, but I knew it was kind of picking up around the nation. So we started talking to students in the cafeteria at lunchtime just to see if there'd be any interest in that. And we did have a lot of interest, so we wanted to get some people, some of the coaches or teachers who are also gamers together and see if they'd want to be a part of this program and start esports at Logansport High School. And I think it's really blossomed into something very special. Coaches, do you guys kind of recall the beginning stages here at LHS for esports?
Yeah, I know. I was in Mr. Jones' office, and he was asked me if I knew anything about esports, and he was watching some video feed of some of the players. And I had a student who played on a professional team in the past, and I owned a game store for about 5 years. So I had some experience with it, and I guess I didn't really realize how much it had grown, and that so many high schools were starting their own esports teams, and that the colleges, many of them have esports teams and are offering scholarships and are wanting to promote students the tech side of industry, and just how involved all of the esports program has kind of become. I was kind of taken aback by that. So I that's what kind of got me interested in seeing the program grow and watching students, becoming more involved, and potentially, this is a way to, something else to add on to your resume, to maybe become a part of a university team. So there's so much potential there. That was really kind of where we got our start. We were wanting to get a team, but we had to get like some technology. We had to get some of the like the computers.
Well, I think back to that, really the Logansport, our corporate sponsorship funding. Money by various companies who have donated to the sponsorship fund allowed for us to get it rolling, because we knew there would be some upfront costs with computers. And Mr. McCrory, I remember we talked to my nephew Grant, right?
Yeah.
To get some ideas on what type of gaming machines we would need to purchase. We wanted to future-proof them. And so, this is one thing, you don't want to have any lag, right? If you're playing esports. Can you remember a little bit back to that, or some of our early conversations?
Yeah. I remember us kind of talking about there's a balance between finding equipment that is able to handle the games you're looking for, but also isn't too expensive. Graphics cards have a tendency to ride up in price, especially when they get used for like crypto mining and things. There's a whole wild thing behind that, and where people will use them up and then sell them used. And so for a while, it was hard to get graphics cards at good prices, along with other computer parts as well. So thankfully, a lot of the games I think that are entering the esports realm have done a good job of being optimized well enough that you can play them with a lot of different levels of settings, and you don't need to have the top of the line graphics card or processor or something like that to be able to compete. That's been pretty good. So I know that the game selection that we've had for the league, at least when it was starting out, I think Overwatch was maybe the most high fidelity game, followed by Halo. Halo was pretty high fidelity. But for the most part, I think the other games, especially like the chess and stuff, there's always kind of a place for that, for schools that couldn't get computers and things too. So it was a great opportunity that we were able to get some higher end PCs to be able to run the games and be able to compete with some good graphics and like you said, no lag and things.
Yeah, well, of course, in the high school, though, we have kids that game. We have gamers, and what a great opportunity just to add another extracurricular here at Logansport High School to give kids opportunities. And where's the esports? Where's it located on campus?
It's, in the library loft. What was the library, which is going through remodeling now, but it's upstairs, like in the balcony area at the moment. And it's kind of nice. So we got 2 wings of computers, and then we have some big screen TVs for other games, and some of the old library chairs and things. So, I was just gonna say we got the computer set up, and then I got a phone call. I think it was from Tucker and there was another teacher that was interested in joining into esports. And I was like, I don't know if we need, how many more coaches we need. But I got a call from Mr. Packard, and he talked to me about he had actually,
Well, he worked in electronic arts.
Right,
I mean, he lived the dream of every kid to be a game tester, on Madden and these sports, the PGA Tour, Tiger Woods. I mean, all these down in Florida, right?
Yep, that's true. Down in Orlando area of Florida. So yeah, I got to work on some pretty big time games down there, and that was a cool experience. So when I don't know how I heard about the esports in Logansport, if you had mentioned it on the announcements, if you had emailed about it in some way, but somehow it got to me. I was like, oh, I'll be perfect for this. I've been playing games my whole life. I was like,
gamer for life.
I'm super qualified for this. And so, because, I couldn't coach anything else. But then I found out that Mr. Hull, Mr. McCord were attached to it. And you told me to reach out to them. And that's what I did. And at first, I think they thought I was just a big wig trying to say, oh, I worked for EA Sports, so I should take over. But then they found out how nice of a person I am. And,
there we go.
And then it was a big, happy family. So, yeah, we've got a chain of command. And I feel very fortunate that they let me be a third coach on the team. And I think we've worked really well together.
So, what's a season? I mean, there's like a fall season, a spring season. How does the beginning of the year start? Practices.
They have actually changed to a full year. We were doing seasons, but I think people felt it was a little confusing when you say you're the 2022 state champion, but then you have another season and there's another 2022 champion. So they've decided to go to like a full year kind of thing.
And it's part of the Indiana High School Esports Network, right? Which has teams from all over the state.
Yeah, I mean, and we're in divisions. I mean, it's not just, a bunch of schools. It's like, we are competing against the AA schools. We're not competing, and there's several of those that we, just like you would in sports conferences. So
it's a big group.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. It's grown, tremendously just in the last year that we were participating in. So, I mean, I don't know, is there a school in the area that doesn't I don't know. Maybe some of the area schools don't have teams. I don't know, but
Yeah, it seems kind of early in the esports kind of ecosystem right now. So there's kind of some leagues competing for different high schools and things. So unfortunately, we don't have schools in there like you would hope, like maybe a Lewis Cass or a Pioneer or some of those schools that we might play in our athletic programs. But still, I think there's a good range of schools, from all over Indiana that we get to play.
the Indiana High School Esports Network is a somewhat recent development, and it is a free-to-play sort of. It's an Indiana-based public schools type organization.
Well, I mean, they have these massive competitions in stadiums and arenas and announcers who follow the action and can watch it. And that was the thing I noticed in the cafeteria before we started esports.
Mhm.
I'd see these kids on their phones, which is fine, we allow it. And they were like watching YouTube these. I thought maybe at first they were playing, but they were just watching other people play these games. And I found that interesting that they were just observers. Is that still popular, like where they just kind of watch other people play?
Yeah, I'd say that's still pretty popular. For me, it's more of like, I like to see another person's thought process while playing the game while I also know my own. So it's just kind of something different.
It's like a review of yourself. You're watching this person play, making choices that maybe you might have made or maybe you should have made while you were playing. So you get your own ideas or like advice for your own play style.
It's fascinating.
Is that like a basketball player that would watch the NBA to see what move
right.
Kobe's making and then try
it's
to...
It's just a different way of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like like sports commentary kind of thing. I mean, it adds another element to the gameplay. And so, yeah, streamers. I mean, it's a whole profession, right? Like people are making a living off of just being a streamer and
having all those followers.
Yeah,
and,
we have a streamer for our team that all they do is just stream our games.
So this season, what games are we participating?
So I'm running Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Fortnite. There you go.
I have the Valorant team.
Okay.
And I'm just running Rocket League this year.
And Rocket League is like soccer with cars.
It is with kind of rocket propelled
way
rocket
my
propelled cars.
novice
Right. The soccer ball is very
observation.
large.
Yes,
and the arena's enclosed, so you can't kick it out of bounds. But you can, use your fuel to get up the side and
no goalies, right?
Well,
I mean in
you
the
can
other
be a
cars,
goalie,
right?
yeah.
You can play defense or not. Yeah,
you can. Yeah, so it is a lot like soccer with rocket controlled cars. I'm waiting for the VR Rocket League because that'd be something to try to fly
we
through
need
the
to do
air.
now?
That would be
Next,
really
that's
cool.
next.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the works yet, but yeah.
So Super Smash Brothers, which I've always heard that Mr. McCord is like ranked. He's a tough one to beat. That's his big sport. Is that right, Mr. McCord? Super Smash. I heard you're pretty good.
I'd say it's the game that I'm best at, but I'm not better than a lot of the kids now on the Smash Bros. Team. I've fallen from grace, as one would say.
Well, you passed all your talent to them. Sometimes that happens.
I'd like to think that I did, but I think also they just have practiced a lot and have gotten really good at it. So, Connor, do you want to talk a little bit about how Smash Bros. Works, what it is?
Sure. Smash Bros. Is a massive crossover of characters from Mario to Sonic and everything. I popped off the first time I ever beat Mr. McCord. That meant a lot to me, and because I got so close so many times and I lose, and then right after I have to wait for my mom outside while it's snowing because it's the winter season, and they come pick me up and drive me away. So it was like, and they're, oh, how'd you do? And I always be like, yeah, because I was on the varsity team my first year, which also made me really happy. But I was the very bottom seed every single time, no matter what. Even if I won and everyone else lost, that happened during the finals. Our last game we played of the year before we got kicked out, I won perfectly. Everyone else got lost, and then no one cared because I was the bottom one. But it mattered a lot. I like Smash. I play Smash for another activity to do after school, rather than just go home and play online with people. I can actually be in person and talk to them.
So we have Super Smash, extremely popular. I would say that might be, well, in Fortnite. I mean, that would be like just the common kid walking the halls or whatever, or junior high, they would know those two games probably the most. So Fortnite, any thoughts on Fortnite? Because that wasn't an original. They just added that in the last couple of years, right?
Correct.
Fortnite?
Yeah, that's a pretty recent addition. I don't know a lot personally about Fortnite. I've been lucky enough that the kids have been able to kind of run it themselves. But from what I do know, it's a third-person shooter game where you have to strategize not only with what equipment you can find and where you kind of stake out when you start the match, but also with what you build around you to be your defenses. So it adds a lot to the experience of going kind of head-to-head. Not only are you totally on your own without a team, you are left to your own devices to try and find a way to survive and to overpower your opponents. So it really puts a lot on every player to strategize and to come up with something ingenious, basically, to come through as the winner.
So then we have Valorant. What is Valorant?
It's another first-person shooter type team game, and I'm not very well versed in it, but I have a lot of experience in other games of that type, Gears of War, Halo, other games like that, and also Mr. Servin has also kind of come up and served as sort of an assistant coach, and he's
he can hold his own in Valorant.
He's really a pro with it. So he's been very, very helpful in kind of leading practices and coming up with some drills and things for us to go through. I'll let our team captain talk more about the game.
Yeah, talk Valorant, talk the teamwork that goes into it. I mean, it's just like, a team sport. I mean, you're working together to accomplish a mission.
Well, Valorant starts off 5v5. There's a bit of lore to the background. It's one side, attackers and defenders. You'll start off as one side, and then halfway through the game, you'll switch sides. And there's different agents you'll play that have different abilities, and those abilities can really change how a round goes. And just like any other game or sport or whatever, it requires a lot of thinking, whether that be outthinking someone or not thinking at all. And it sounds funny, but it is a strategy just to go in without making a plan or anything. But Valorant has a lot of components that you'll have to know, because it's really hard to get started on it if you have no other game experience. But if you have someone telling you about it, you'll be able to catch on. But yeah, it's in game terms, it'd be like CS:GO and Overwatch. So.
And we've played Overwatch. That's been one of the ones in the past. And they probably rotate in games every year to kind of keep it fresh, and then they'll probably maybe come back to it or come new game. So how often, how many hours a week, students, gamers here, how often are you, beyond just our regular practices, how much are you playing these games at home? I mean, after you get all your homework done, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
As of recently, I haven't been playing much video games outside of just Smash at the high school for sake of finals, homework. I personally took a vacation halfway through the year, so I was behind for a while, and I think I literally just caught up today in class. But I guess it makes free time at school to play video games, because I don't have that much free time anymore. So, not that often.
On days that I can do it, which is usually three times in a Monday through Friday, and then the weekends I spend. You don't want to know.
Okay, well, of course, the weekend.
I spend like 5.5 hours playing.
Well, I think that most people would expect that that's what you guys, you're playing a lot. You're honing your craft. You got to stay sharp, right, to compete.
Yeah.
What about you, Xander? I bet you at home you're flipping on the old computer and playing a little Rocket League here and there.
Well, I did a lot. Like over the summer was my main playtime. I was on constantly, no matter what. But recently, I've had work a lot more, so I've been off the game.
Yeah, you got to balance it, right?
I want to throw in too that Xander often plays because our matches are 3 versus 3, 3 cars for each team. Like you said, no goalie, but you can play goalie. But Xander plays a lot with his teammates, Braden Jordan, Matt Collins. So those guys are playing together and trying to beat people online during the weekends, and that really helps us, I think, in matches.
Well, speaking of that group, and they had some success last year to the fall. I mean, state champions, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the state championship last fall of Rocket League.
It was very much a blur, I'd say. I just remember the last goal, really. It was Braden threw the ball into the goal, and Mac stole it at the last second. So whoever touches the ball last is who it assigns the goal to. And Mac touched it at the last second. And as we were winning a state final, they were joking around about whose goal it should have been.
What was interesting about that match, too, is that and it's a no-no, by the way, to touch the ball before somebody else scores. Like you kind of don't want to do that because, somebody shoots the ball towards the goal. It's a wide open net. And right before it gets there, somebody taps it in and gets the credit for the goal. So,
yeah.
But what was interesting about that match is we played Western, and actually the team that was harder to beat was in the Final Four round. So we ended up kind of blowing out Western. So, it's not like we were, heads and shoulders above every other team in the division. It just happened with the brackets that we met our nemesis that we were trying to get past for the whole year in the Final Four. So that was like the big moment, was almost winning the semifinal.
And you'll be competing again. I mean, we already had is the season. When are they're just doing all the one, right? There's no fall, right? Exactly.
Right.
So at the end of the year.
Yeah, the format now is kind of that we have a set of games in the fall and a set of games in the spring, where all of it kind of ties together. They have kind of a section off in between where if you need to add in new players or players have to lead the team and stuff too, that works too. So it gives you a chance to kind of see if you have a second round of if you want people to try out, or if someone does a sport or another extracurricular that means they can't play in the fall or the spring, but they can do one or the other. It gives them a chance to be a part of it and still be in that full year season to kind of lead towards getting to the championships.
And we have JV teams and varsity teams on some of these different games, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last year our Valorant team we had a JV and a varsity team. Ended up there weren't as many schools in the Valorant JV, but the varsity team there were a lot of teams, really good teams, but our team was really good in the fall season. We were undefeated. Then we went to the playoffs, and we had gotten kind of a break. They'd given us a break, a bye week, and then in that week, there was a new champion that got
A new agent.
Okay, and yeah, and basically we weren't really ready for that agent. So I guess somebody had, it was like just a couple of days before our match, I think, and they got to play. So they got, either they paid for the agent and we weren't able to handle it, so we lost. And it kind of knocked us off our groove. And I talked to the head, the guy who runs the network, and he felt like it was kind of unfortunate. So now there's a 2-week waiting period. So,
and you talked about technology, and we rely upon our technology department because we need some bandwidth after school and some support there. And I hear you talking about Mr. Servin participating. So that's probably a good thing because he's one of our tech guys to kind of have his hands up there and to make sure the bandwidth is full force and everything. We don't want any of that lag if you're online playing against somebody else that's got better bandwidth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely been quite a few situations where the IT department has saved us on situations where the firewall has blocked something we didn't expect, or there's been some kind of outage, and so we need reports on that. In one case, there's a thing called a NAT type for your internet connection that was not syncing up with another school that they had to look into. And that was for Smash Bros. That kind of took us off guard because it was like, oh my gosh, it was just working. And then, so it was nice to have someone that knows the lingo to be able to, pull up the internet settings and say, okay, yeah, I know what all this is, instead of what I would do, which is that's a lot of numbers. And none of it makes any sense to me.
And then last year we had the chess champion Zachary Elkins, right?
Zach. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that big victory by Zach.
Well, that was something. He was a pretty good chess player. It has actually his grandfather was a Logansport High School state chess champion. So he had kind of a bit of a legacy there. We started playing back and forth, he and I, and
online or traditional chess?
Online, yeah.
Okay, online, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the games, it was kind of leading up to he had an emergency, had to go to the hospital, and he missed his one of his games. And so I talked them and letting him continue on, even though he'd missed a match, and they let him play. So he was kind of underseeded, but he ended up toppling that next match that he wasn't supposed to win. That they actually, they kind of just I think somebody's opponent didn't show up. So they let him play, and
next thing you know, we have a state champion.
Winning. Yeah, and he just kept winning. Yeah, and didn't stop winning. It was pretty impressive watching him. So I was pretty thrilled.
Could you beat him?
I don't think I could have that day. Normally I did, but but I was, he was on fire. I don't know. Sometimes, you kind of get in the zone, when all things are kind of clicking, and he was definitely on that. In that night, he was really, playing at top level.
So let's. Any strategy you want to give? Any pointers to anybody out there that might be playing your game, or maybe you don't want to give any strategies?
In Smash, it's a 1v1, so there isn't much more strategy than just trying to adapt. So if it's online, you're gonna have to adapt to it being laggy, and there is LAN adapters, but we've had experiences in the past where there's been teams that are literally just, we're about to win, and then they'll just leave the arena, or come back, beat us a second time, and then we're like, well, that's not very fair.
Mm-hmm. For Valorant, you really can't have a set strategy, but because it's all about adapting. The moment you load into a game, it's already strategy, and an agent select or a champion select, or if you're selecting your character, you're already starting your strategy for your team, and then when you load in the game, you'll be able to see your enemy teams and who they picked and their composition. So you can already start having ideas in your head and getting some sort of head start. But it's Valorant. It's all about adapting to very minuscule details, and I think that's part of the reason why it's hard to learn.
Any Rocket League strategies, champ? Huh?
Well, the biggest thing that I can think of is something we call rotations. which is, so there's 3 people on your team, but there's also 3 people on the other team. If one person's pushing up here and 2 people from here push, there's only 1 person back here. And you have 2 people back here that can also push. So it will be a lot easier to get past people if they're double committing, that's what we call double committing. This puts them out of position. If you get the ball past them, there's only 1 guy left defending. If you double commit like that, things are going to go wrong. So we have a thing called rotation. So if somebody's up, there's somebody right behind them, and then somebody waiting back kind of near the goal, but not in the goal. And you just switch back and forth in a big circle. That's my biggest tip.
You heard it from the champion right there.
Yes, that double committing. I mean, if you can imagine 2 people going for the same ball, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because one of the person is going to be hitting it. So kind of like real soccer, I guess. You never see 2 players just right next to each other kind of going for the same ball. Yeah.
So, student gamers, what's your favorite thing about eSports?
I'd have to say my favorite part about esports is being able to go in there and either see like old people who are like already graduated and will come back, or new people coming in, and just being able to like play the game with them and teach them stuff. Some of them don't listen and are very hyper aggressive, like freshmen, but some of them are really cool, and it's one of the reasons why I go to esports.
Shade to the freshmen.
The entire JV team is just freshmen.
I guess the favorite part about like the esports team is like the community, I guess. Honestly, in the end, it's really a big game, and it's really just a high school sport. But I actually got to see a lot of freshmen grow as players. One of them grew a lot, pretty fast too, which is like, okay, I got to pick up my own weight now, because I was just like,
It's good to be pushed, right? I mean, that's how you get better.
yeah, because right now I'm kind of sitting at the top, just painting circles or something. But yeah, he's gonna make me run for my money or something. I don't know what the saying is. But I got to meet a lot of new people too. Like Chandler, we started playing a lot together after after we met on the esports team. But this year he can't play, unfortunately.
So you've met some new friends, and giving an opportunity to not only an extracurricular, maybe some kids who don't play sports. This is you're a gamer. You love to play games, and what a nice opportunity. Xander, what's your favorite aspect other than winning championships?
I would have to agree with you and say community is definitely
community, teamwork, friendship,
interaction is definitely my favorite part of it. Like Braden and Mac, I met both of these people, or well, Braden I didn't meet online, but that was where most of our interactions were. And Mac I met on Rocket League. So it was a really cool ability to go into the loft and be able to play with them one-on-one, like with each other. That was really cool to me. And I also enjoy how other teams aren't like rude to us. It's not like a heinous chat section. It's really cool to see we're going against each other, but we still have some form of like respect for each other with GGs or
it's all part of competition and having opponents and respect of other opponents, and that's good.
Did you meet some people when we went to the state?
Oh yeah,
championship?
Yeah, you went to South Bend, right?
Yes, we went to Bendix Arena. I forget what team he was on, but his username was Threes, and we got to see him there for the first time, and he didn't recognize us, but we saw him. So that was really cool, being able to like know somebody online and then meet them just through this game.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the goal of all of us too, I think, as coaches, is if we can get to the final four of our respective games, we get to go to an arena, hopefully in person, and play, something that we've been missing out on because of COVID and stuff. We can't travel back and forth to schools or don't have that set up yet. But to go up to that arena is really cool because it's kind of like set up like McHale, maybe a smaller McHale, but where there's like seats, like stadium seating, and then on the floor is where the gamers are set up and they have computers going. So it's just a really cool atmosphere. You know, I would love to see Barry fans at one of these things if we make it to some
Right.
final
Yeah.
fours.
It's exciting. Anything else, coaches, just about the program or?
Yeah, I think it's been nice seeing, like, we always do a survey, and each time we see more and more people showing interest and people coming in. So I think there's a lot of room for growth. You know, we're going to have to buy more computers, I think, or get a bigger lab. It's
Yeah, what do we have? Probably, I don't know how many computers, 12?
12, yeah.
12 computers, and we have a couple of the Forza racing
yeah.
controllers, the pedals and steering
Yeah,
wheels.
so there are more games, and like I said, more networks.
I've seen a few other high schools rooms,
Yeah,
and there's some that, and it's kind of got me thinking at some point it'd be nice to I would really like to just to get some the gaming chairs and kind of continue. The loft's a neat area,
yeah.
but we want to continue to grow and add to it.
It'd be cool to have some sort of kind of side, not sound booth, but a kind of room where we could stream and have a couple commentators where the noise from the lab is not affecting them and vice versa, but be kind of in the same room would be something I'd be very excited about.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah. Players, anything else that I didn't ask that you want to talk about?
Smash will try to make it to the state championship. We weren't able to do it last year. I think we were kicked out round 1. We were placed against I think the 2nd seed because we had a bit rough at the beginning. But yeah, hopefully we can do better. I've been trying to push some of the people on the team because it works as a crew battle. I guess I should have got more in depth about techniques and stuff. But each team has 4 players, so 4 in JV and 4 in varsity. It works as everyone has a set amount of lives, and they'll go against the other team until they're out. Then that pro team will continue fighting on. And it just goes back and forth until you get your top players fighting each other for the win. On the team, there's one other guy, which I actually asked Mr. McCord when I walked in. I'm like, was I actually the first person you asked? Because there's one other guy on the team who might be better than me. I don't think so. He would disagree. He's kind of like my arch rival right now because last year when I joined, there was a senior called Luke Hallam. I could not beat him for the life of me. He was just
Shout out to Luke Hallam.
Yeah.
See it out in Purdue. Where is he now?
Yeah,
Is he
He's at Purdue.
Yeah.
To go to Luke's house every now and then and go to, in his basement, he had kind of a TV on the wall and a couch that we would all hang out on. But I played Smash against him a few times on the Switch.
pretty
and
good.
He can hold his
He
own.
is.
Huh?
Very good, yeah. I think I've only won against him one time.
We would do these things because whenever we play online, it's online, whatever. It's not as cool. And over the summer, there's 1 or 2 tournaments for Smash. So we'll do in-person tournaments. And I always wanted to make it past round 1. But for some reason, whenever Mr. McCord would set it up, I would always have to fight Luke. Round 1 every time. And it came a little gag between me and our friends up there. They're like, oh, well, if you can beat Luke, you can make it on. Never did once. Plays Bowser. If you know anything about Smash, it's a terrible character.
Debatable.
You play Game & Watch.
Yeah.
I like it. Debatable.
It was funny. So we're doing a tournament. I made it to Grands versus him. But since someone had to leave, I was playing 2 characters. I was playing Cloud from Final Fantasy twice. And he was really mad that I was playing twice. So he started tryharding on me. And then he stopped trying a little bit. I won't go into details of what he said. You were there. You heard what he said. It wasn't school appropriate.
We're airing out some dirty laundry here, I think.
Yeah. I'm a little salty still. I was trying to talk to him in the hallway about this. Oh, hey, did Mr. McCord ask you? Because I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do this or not.
Mm-hmm.
Straight ignored me. I think he's still mad.
If you play Valorant, just join the team, man. We don't care if you're good or bad. We need players. Good or bad, as in experienced or not experienced. And that's, I think, for all of the teams, because last year they had a lot of other teams and not just for, join those teams too. Like it's a good like mental break too.
Interesting the parallels between like athletic sports and esports. You know, like in a basketball game, the coach, you know, is having you work on things in practice, and then they're telling you to do certain things, and then the team's not doing it, and the coach gets frustrated, like that kind of thing. You
Do
know,
we have that? Do you get frustrated?
in
Oh,
esports?
Yeah. I mean, I think our team has really good players. They're very skilled. Sometimes, though, when you're getting defeated, you kind of a lot of players sometimes shut down. We have some players that are really top notch, or really good players, but if things start going sideways, they kind of the positive outlook. I mean, so we did some like 2v3s and different matches, and I put Dragon with one of the freshmen because he just plays support, and he just is always there. He's always with his partner. He does what he's supposed to do, and Dragon's our best player. So I put them together, and they just whooped everybody. There were 3 people against the 2 of them, and nobody could really touch them.
And for those who don't know, support is somebody that heals like the other player. That's kind of their primary job.
Backup, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to that freshman. I love that freshman. I don't know his name.
That's it. Yeah. It's that community, right? Back to community. The gnome, huh? That's his username?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we have all your? I want to get your guys' usernames too. If you have like a gamer name or something. No? Do you have one?
We do have usernames. Cannot, like CANNOT, but get rid of the A with an O. My name's Connor. I just replaced the R at the end of the T.
If you add Dragonfly Red on anything like Fortnite or any of those games, you'll probably find my account because that's the one thing I use for everything. So for Valorant, it's Dragonfly Red 1547.
Andrew?
Anything for me is Zanny Dubs, name that one of my friends made up for me. So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the podcast, and good luck on the rest of the year, and let's bring home some more championships in the future.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, sir.